Welcome all you Minties, Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today is the day. Today is when I go over the list of Marvel Omnis that are out of print, and you get to vote for 5 of them that you want reprinted the most. That's right, it is the Marvel Omnibus Reprint Poll 2023 edition. So I'll explain the rules. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. So today is a very exciting day. It is the annual reprint poll. I do this every year. I share the list with Marvel, and every year they reprint books out of our list. Sometimes it's all the books, sometimes it's most of the books. Last year we actually counted, and there were 15 out of the 20 that they decided to reprint. So before I go any further, though, I do want to thank the people that helped me put this together. James, Chris, and Louise, you guys, so awesome. Thank you all so much. Last year, I remember doing this. We had just moved into the house, and I rushed down here to go ahead and record. I didn't even have any books on the shelf. I think maybe 4 or 5, and that's when we did the list. So the rules are pretty simple. I'm going to go over the list of all the Omnis that are out of print from Marvel Comics. I've taken out some because of licensing, and you all get to vote. I'll explain how for the 5 you want the most reprinted. Now, this is weighted voting, so meaning that your first choice will have the most points. Your second choice, you get the idea, will have the second most points. Third choice, it is the books that you want reprinted the most, in case you missed out on some of these books, in case you're new to Omnibus collectors, or collections, rather. It is not my list, it is yours. Of course, there are a lot of books I want reprinted, but it doesn't matter. It is all about you all. And like I mentioned, a big thank you to David Gabriel and all of the folks in Marvel for making these books getting reprinted happen. Could not be doing it without them. So I will be doing the same for the Marvel Epic Collections here in the next couple of weeks. You have 1 week to vote, and then I will announce the top. I'll probably do top 20 again. Now, from last year, the ones that didn't make it, they are added back in here, including the X-Tinction Agenda / Days of Future Present. I don't know if they have plans to ever reprint that, but just in case, I want them to remind them that it was voted last year for our most wanted. And I, like I do every year, added another OHC, but this time I let our patrons vote for what oversized hardcover X-Men book it is. And I will be pointing that out as I read the list. So, speaking of patrons, thank you so much to our patrons for making videos like this possible. Let's get started with this list. Alright, Absolute Carnage Omnibus, that is out of print again. These have been out of print for a while, but Acts of Vengeance Omnibus and the Acts of Vengeance Crossover Omnibus, both of those came out a few years back and out of print again. Aliens, the Original Years Omnibus Volume 2, out of print. All New Wolverine Omnibus, if you've not read that, that is my favorite story featuring Laura by Tom Taylor. Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 2, that's the one that kind of came and went. It had a small reprint, but it did come back for a little bit. Amazing Spider-Man by JMS, J. Michael Stracynski, Omnibus Volume 2. Surprising that that is out of print, considering the first one was out of print 2 years ago, and you all voted for it back last year. Annihilation Conquest Omnibus, that's had 2 printings, so again out of print. Astonishing X-Men, that book cannot stay in print, I swear. Atlantis Attacks, Avengers by Busiek and Perez Omnibus. You all voted for Volume 1 last year. Hopefully we will get a Volume 2. Avengers by John Byrne Omnibus, or what I like to call the West Coast Avengers Volume 3. Avengers The Crossing. Hey now, some of us love that book. Okay, like it. Love is kind of pushing it. Cable and X-Force Omnibus. I want to talk a little bit about that when I get to the other X-Force Omnis. Captain America Omnibus Volumes 1 and 2. This is the Silver Age books, not the Golden Age books. Captain America by Brubaker Omnibus. And we're getting a reprint of 3, 4, and 5. So maybe when they go back to Brubaker Volume, that's Volume 1, by the way, they'll put that number on the back like they've been doing with the new printings. Captain America by Dan Jurgens Omnibus. Captain America by Jack Kirby Omnibus. That's, of course, when Jack Kirby came back to the book. Captain America by Mark Waid and Ron Garney Omnibus. That is one that the only printing that it's ever had the notorious binding on it. So hopefully the binding will be fixed this time around. if they decide to reprint it. But up to you all. Carnage Omnibus, Cloak and Dagger Volume 1. My goodness. I remember when that book came out, and I remember people were like, who's going to buy this? Well, yes, somebody did if it's out of print. Daredevil Omnibus Volume 1, that is, of course, the Silver Age book, and we've had a Volume 2 reprint, and that Volume 2 reprint comes out here in the next month or so. And, of course, that one has the new spine on it, so I assume whenever they decide to go back to the Silver Age Daredevil, they'll put the new spine on it. Daredevil by Brian Michael Bendis, both Volumes 1 and 2 are out of print. Daredevil by Ed Brubaker, Omnibus Volume 2. This is the one that people were wondering, why did that not come back to print? We have a Volume 1. Volume 1 was voted for the reprint last year in 2022, and that's why it's getting a reprint. It's not always 100%, so I always tell people if you want the book to vote for it. And that's why people have 5 choices. So, you know, even if it's not your top one and you want to make sure it comes out, now's your chance to vote for it. Daredevil by Charles Soule, Omnibus. That's one that came and went. I can't believe that. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of Daredevil out of print. Daredevil by Frank Miller, Companion. The Volume 1 or the Frank Miller Omnibus just came back to print. Daredevil Shadowlands Omnibus. Deadpool and X-Force Omnibus. That's another one I want to talk about, but I'll wait to talk about it with the X-Force books. Deadpool Beginnings Omnibus. Deadpool by Daniel Way Omnibus Volume 2. Deadpool by Joe Kelly. And Deadpool by Posehn and Duggan Omnibus, as well as the Deadpool Classic Omnibus and the Deadpool Minibus Volume 1. I don't know if the Deadpool Minibus books are still considered Omnis. Maybe they are. And what I was going to say is that we just had the Cable and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Cable as it's known in the Omnibus format, reprinted. So up to you all if you want the Merc with the mouth reprinted. Here's what. Devil Dinosaur, the smallest omnibus that has ever existed. It would be interesting to see that getting reprinted, how they would go about it, or if they would just be like, you know what, you just settle for a trade paperback. Although, it's Jack Kirby coming back to Marvel, telling his Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur story. Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme Omnibus Volume 2. I remember when that was getting a low stock whenever I announced Volume 3, and I remember telling people, if you want Volumes 1 and 2, you may want to get it now. Earth X Trilogy, both the Alpha and the Omega are out of print. The Evolutionary War Omnibus, and I assume with the High Evolutionary showing up in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, that was going to come out, but you never know with these things. But if you ever want to bring it to Marvel's attention, this is the time to do it. Fantastic Four Omnibus Volumes 1 and 2, that is, of course, the Silver Age. Fantastic Four by Matt Fraction Omnibus. Fantastic Four by Mark Waid and Mike Wieringo Omnibus. That is one that I hope it comes back to print. I love that story, and I just want to share my love of that story with people. It is so good. Ghost Rider Omnibus, the only Ghost Rider Omnibus we have, and that is the Jason Aaron Ghost Rider Omnibus. Guardians of the Galaxy by Dan Abnett and Annie Lanning. And I know that some people are like, why would they even reprint that? Because it's collected throughout Annihilation, Conquest, and War of the Kings, and Realm of the Kings, and those books. Because some people just want it all in one, just like there are some people that want the Nova Omnibus. They don't want the entire event. They just want specifically Nova, the Modern Cosmic Saga, and Guardians of the Galaxy. And I understand. Guardians of the Galaxy by Jerry Duggan Omnibus. Guardians of the Galaxy by Jim Valentino Omnibus. And Guardians of the Galaxy Solo Classic Omnibus. My goodness, all the Guardians, with the exception of the Brian Michael Bendis that just came back, or is coming back, are out of print. Howard the Duck Omnibus, again out of print. Hulk by Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness Omnibus. That one has a special place in my heart, not because it's my favorite story or anything, but that is the very first Marvel Omnibus that I got sent an advanced copy of for review many years back, and that's how this journey began. Hulk, World War Hulk Omnibus, we just got Planet Hulk this year, so hopefully people that are wanting that one will get it next year. I guess, yeah, this will be the books coming out in 2024. And Infinity Crusade Omnibus, as well as Infinity War. So we got Infinity Gauntlet back to print, and it's still in print as of this video. And by the way, this is everything as of this video. But Infinity Crusade and Infinity War are out of print. Invincible Iron Man Omnibus Volume 2. Iron Man by Kurt Busiek and Sean Chen Omnibus. Iron Man by David Michelinie, Bob Layton, John Romita Jr. Omnibus. Iron Man The Mask in the Iron Man Omnibus Well, all those Iron Man are out of print. John Carter, Warlord of Mars. That's one that I'll have to ask. I don't know if that could be reprinted because, again, of a licensing. Loki, Journey into Mystery Omnibus. One that I know some people have been wanting back ever since I got to announce the JMS and Gillen Thor Omnibus. Marvel 75th Anniversary Omnibus, Marvel Cinematic Universe Omnibus, Marvel Horror Omnibus, and Marvel Horror Lives Again Omnibus. Marvel Knights by Joe Quesada Omnibus. Now, that right there is your Daredevil Omnibus Volume 0 in a way. Right before, that goes right before the Daredevil by Brian Michael Bendis Volumes 1 and 2. If you're wanting to read Daredevil in oversized format and in chronological order, Uncanny and More Talk Pretty one day, that is your Daredevil Volume 0. Marvel Monster Bus Volumes 1 and 2 are out of print. That's the Jack Kirby wonderful, wonderful books. And Marvel Now Omnibus is out of print. Marvel Universe by John Byrne Omnibus and Marvel Universe by Rob Liefeld are out of print. The Mighty Thor Omnibus Volume 2 and Volume 3 are out of print. We are getting a Volume 4 sometime soon. We just got Volume 1 reprinted last year. And Mighty Thor by Walter Simonson Omnibus. And for the people that don't own it, that one has modern colorization on it. Not to the extreme of that of the Absolute Swamp Thing by Alan Moore. The big Absolute books that were recolored. But they aren't the original colors. They are kind of modernized colors. And I know some people have issues with that and others don't. I myself just wanted the book and it's an oversized format. Now, before we continue this list, if you live in Europe and you want some of these books when they get reprinted, check out our sponsor.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code NEARMINTCONDITION at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
All right, let's continue the list with Miss Marvel Omnibus. Maybe we can get that one expanded if they bring it back. Muppet Babies Omnibus, Muppets Omnibus. Again, I remember people were like, who's buying these? Well, there you go. Now they're out of print. Namor the Submariner by John Byrne is out of print. New Avengers Omnibus. This is one that a lot of people want. This is Volume 1. And a lot of people want it back to print because they think that that is the way to get a Volume 2 and a Volume 3 and so on and begin that collection of omnibus format for the Brian Michael Bendis era. And despite of how some people feel about Brian Michael Bendis' writing, that was the flagship title for Marvel Comics at that time. Official Handbook of the Marvel Universe needs to have a reprint. Wow, that one's out of print. Oh, wow, both of them are out of print. Sorry, the deluxe edition's out of print too. The Oz Omnibus, that is the Scotty Young book. And Punisher by Garth Ennis. Punisher Back to the Warzone, which is practically his Volume 1 omnibus with his early appearances all the way up until the miniseries. Punisher Max by Garth Ennis, Omnibus Volumes 1 and 2. And Punisher Max by Jason Aaron. Punisher by Rick Remender, that is all of the Punishers in omnibus format that are out of print. Runaways Omnibus, Secret Invasion Omnibus, Secret Wars 2. You all got a Secret Wars 1 reprinted, and now here's your chance to maybe, if you want, I don't know, some people may hate it. Secret Wars 2 Omnibus, Sensational She-Hulk by John Byrne Omnibus. That's one that had the notorious flat spines, and it came and went. So maybe with the reprint, they'll have a new rounded spine. Shield Omnibus, that is the classic Shield, not the Secret Warrior Shield. And Spider-Man by John Byrne Omnibus. Spider-Man by Michelinie and Larson Omnibus. Spider-Man Clone Saga Omnibus Volume 2. We are getting a Volume 1. So maybe if you want to, yeah, definitely vote for Volume. I know Volume 2 made the list last year, but just to reassure them that people still want it. Spider-Man's Tangled Web Omnibus. Squadron Supreme Omnibus is out of print. Whoa. This one, no, okay, this is the new one. No, it's both of them. Okay, sorry. Star Wars Darth Vader by Charles Soule Omnibus is out of print. That's the newer one. But the one that just got another printing is out of print again. That is crazy. Star Wars Darth Vader by Gillen and La Roca Omnibus, which features the first appearance of Dr. Aphra. Star Wars Droids and Ewoks Omnibus. Star Wars Kanan Omnibus. That's a smaller omnibus, a slimmer omnibus, but out of print regardless. Star Wars Omnibus Volumes 1, 2, and 3. That is the classic, the original Marvel Years Omnibus. Star Wars Legends, the Old Republic Omnibus, one of my favorite reads of a couple of years ago. Star Wars Marvel UK Omnibus. Superior Foes of Spider-Man. That's another small, slimmer book, but it's such a good read. Thor Heroes Return Omnibus Volume 2. Thunderbolts Omnibus Volume 1. So in case you want the Volume 2 and the 3 that is coming out later this year, and then the one that I just announced, the Uncaged Era, which is really Volume 5, may want to think about getting Thunderbolts 1. I don't know if he'll make the reprint poll this time around. Timely's Greatest, The Golden Age Submariner, The Post-War Years by Bill Everett, and The Pre-War Years by Bill Everett. Tomb of Dracula Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. I'm hoping with the new masterworks that are getting out there, the new restored artwork, that we'll get some of these back to print. Maybe when the Blade movie comes out, maybe people's interest in the character will be there. Ultimate Comics Avengers Omnibus. Now, that is not to be confused with the Ultimates Omnibus. This is the follow-up by Mark Millar. This is after the Ultimates 3 and Ultimatum story. So, I know it gets a little confusing with the title. Ultimate Death of, yeah, that guy that you're seeing on screen, in case people don't want to be spoiled. But hey, it's the name of the book. I can't help it. Uncanny Avengers Omnibus. Uncanny X-Force Omnibus. That's another one, like the 2 Punisher books and the Clone Saga that made it into our list last year that they didn't get reprinted. So again, if you're wanting it, make sure you vote for it. Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volumes 2 and 3. I didn't put 1 on here because 1 just got a restock, or I'm sorry, it's getting a restock in May, I believe. Ven Omnibus Volumes 2 and 3 are out of print. Ven Omnibus Volume 1 is getting a restock at the same month that Uncanny 1 is getting a restock. But 2 and 3 are out of print. War of the Kings Aftermath Omnibus and War of the Kings The Prelude Omnibus. So these are the stories that are before and after the War of the Kings Omnibus, which is being reprinted this year. Werewolf by Night Omnibus, another one that is kind of like the Tomb of Dracula. It's that Marvel horror from the 70s. But, oh man, it's so good. West Coast Avengers Omnibus Volumes 1 and 2 are out of print. And if you're wondering about the third omnibus, that is the Avengers by John Byrne Omnibus. That's also out of print, and all 3 of those are what makes up the early years of Avengers West Coast Avengers. Wolverine Omnibus Volume 1. Now, we had a reprint of Volume 2, and it got a new spine, so maybe when they reprint Volume 1, it'll have a new spine. But it's not the only Wolverine that is out of print. Wolverine by Mark Millar is out of print, as well as Wolverine by Jason Aaron, and Wolverine Goes to Hell. Now, in the chronological order of events, Wolverine by Jason Aaron is Volume 1, Wolverine Goes to Hell is Volume 2, and Wolverine and the X-Men is Volume 3 of the Jason Aaron era of Wolverine. Women of Marvel Omnibus, X-Force Omnibus, Volume 1. Alright, so that's what I'm talking about. I mentioned that that's out of print, Cable and X-Force is out of print, and Deadpool and Cable. I hope, if those get voted, that Marvel does the renaming of these books and make it X-Force Omnibus Volume 1, X-Force Omnibus Volume 2, X-Force Omnibus Volume 3, and maybe we can get a 4th one. Just because it's a little bit confusing, and that's why I have reading orders, and I don't mind. But it would just be wonderful to, not only to get these books reprinted, but to actually name them their proper title. While I do think that Cable's name belongs in there because they're collecting a lot of Cable with X-Force, Deadpool, not so much. Deadpool has his own omnibus, and I know why they did it, of course, because Deadpool sells. I get it. Alright, Age of Apocalypse, out of print again, as well as X-Men by Chris Claremont and Jim Lee Omnibus Volume 1. You all made that happen. You all got that book reprinted, and it is out of print again. X-Men Classics Omnibus, out of print. X-Men Legacy, the Legion Omnibus. X-Men Revolution Omnibus is out of print. X-Men vs. Apocalypse, the 12 Omnibus, and the X-Statix Omnibus. Now, last year I added X-Men Extinction Agenda, Days of Future Present Omnibus to the list. This year, the patrons voted for, out of all the oversized hardcover X-Men books, Bishop/Executioner Song Omnibus. So somehow putting it together, mapping them together. I don't know if they'll do it, but I'm adding it to the list. And if enough people vote for it, I'll show the interest. But that is the list. If and when these books come back to print, check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. How to vote. We made it so simple, and it's back to being that simple. You go to the link in the description of the video that says Marvel Omnibus Reprint Poll 2023. Click on that link. That will open up a Google Doc, and you just follow the guidelines. It's only for Marvel Omnis. You have to select 5 books, the first being the one that you want the most, and you just need to scroll down and make your selection. You do have to put in an email address. We're not going to spam you with anything. It's just to make sure that that email address fits the IP it's coming from. And that's where you make your 5 choices. You go all the way down to the bottom. And I believe it asks you what your username is on YouTube. You don't have to put that in there. It's optional. But there's a little thing you do have to fill out that just make sure we don't have any bots. It's a multiple choice question. And then you just hit submit. And that's it. That's all you do. So again, we made it simple. And in case there's a book that's missing from here that you think needs to be added, by all means, leave that in the description of the video. Because as of this video, it's out of print. And I don't know what else could go out of print between now and the date that we decided that we're going to stop the collection of the answers. And I guess I need to tell you when that date will be. You have all the way until March 3rd. And that's when we're going to collect all of the answers. That's when we will stop the poll. So you have a little bit over a week to go in there and vote for the Omnis you want reprinted the most. On March 3rd at 8 p.m., I will close the polls, take the, what people voted for, and this time around, I'll do the top 20 again and see where it gets us. We got 15 reprinted last year. Maybe I should do top 15, but just in case, I'll do top 20. Just to show Marvel what people want reprinted. That's it. This is your chance to have your voice out there. It's not my list, it is your list. Just because I want something printed doesn't mean that you do, so it matters what you vote for. That's all I got. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Let's get these books reprinted.